Welcome to your weekly airplane news update. This is the week of June 21st, 2021. This week, we've got 5 topics. The first one is a follow-up on the airplane that was found at the bottom of a lake. We have an update. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about the FAA that's going to require some additional checks on the Boeing 737 MAX. We'll talk about a British Airways 787 that had a nose gear collapse on the taxiway, on the ramp in itself. We'll talk about the FAA that is finally working on the NOTAM situation. We'll talk about what the issue is and hopefully we get a solution. And then lastly, we'll talk about American Airlines that is having some pilot shortage. So let's get to it. And the first story this week is a follow-up to a story we did last week. We talked about an airplane that was found at the bottom of a lake, and they had suspected that it was something from a mid-air collision that had happened, I think, in the 50s or the 60s. And as it turns out, it wasn't. So this was a different aircraft. This came from a non-fatal accident that happened in 1986. They said that the airplane is going to remain at the bottom of the lake, but I just wanted to mention this so that you guys were aware of what was going on with that story. Next thing is the FAA is going to require some additional checks on the 737 MAX. And it looks like there is there's an AD, Airworthiness Directive, that was issued. And that's going to impact 389 aircraft worldwide. And the issue seems to be with some electronics that is related to the flight control system. And they're saying basically that there could be a failure in the system that could lead to flight control malfunction. So definitely something you want to look into. If you own a 737, I'm sure a lot of you at home watching this do that. Make sure that you check on these, on all these components. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, something that has to do with flight controls, the FAA is going to be on top of it, and they're going to issue the Airworthiness Directive, something that needs to be checked on the aircraft every so many hours or immediately or whatever it is. But just a good example of an AD in real life right here. British Airways 787 had a nose gear collapse at Heathrow Airport. That was on June 18, and the aircraft was actually a cargo aircraft. There were no passengers on board. Nobody was injured, but as you can see from the pictures here, the aircraft was parked and then the nose gear collapsed. As soon as I saw the picture, I thought somebody messed up the pins that go inside of the landing gear when you're on the ground. So we'll find out what happened. We don't have all the information right now, but I thought I would share this picture right here. That's going to be expensive. By the way, you know how they take care of these things? They put a giant inflatable mattress underneath it. It's not a mattress, it's a big cushion, and they fill it up so that they can actually raise the nose of the aircraft and then fix it. I've seen pictures of this before. One of the course that I taught had a picture of one of these incidents. It's just a very impressive operation when that happens. Next thing, saying that I'm overexcited about this is an understatement. The NOTAMs are being worked on. And if you are a pilot, which I'm sure you are if you're watching this, and if you've had to deal with NOTAMs in the past, you know how painful it is to go through a list of NOTAMs. I've been complaining about this for pretty much the last 15 years. The NOTAM system is broken and somebody has to fix it. I was showing Jason in the office earlier today, and I said, this is why it's broken. And I pull the NOTAMs, and you can do this right now. At home, go to notams.faa.gov and then type in KPHX, which is Phoenix Airport. Type in one of your big airport near you in a Class Bravo airspace. Type KLAX, Los Angeles Airport, and take a look at the amount, the sheer volume of NOTAMs that are appearing on this list. And that's why it's broken, because nobody's got time to go read through every single one of these. The problem is the information that's in the NOTAM is critical. And not only that, but you should be going through all of this. But eventually this is going to lead, and I don't know how it hasn't happened yet. A friend of mine actually is an airline pilot, and he sent me a picture not too long ago of this person in the cockpit that had the list of NOTAMs printed, and they went from right here and they went down pretty much halfway through the airplane. It was the length of about half of a CVS receipt, so that tells you how long it was, but in an 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper just printed. So anyway, so the good news is that there's a bill out there. Now, this is not necessarily going to happen, but please, if somebody's watching, please, pretty please, make this happen. This would form a task force to basically determine how to improve the NOTAM system. And somebody was quoted as saying, as a member of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, I've heard from a number of pilots who have expressed concerns over the inefficiencies of the NOTAM system. Yeah. No S Sherlock. This is a mess, okay? So this needs to be fixed as soon as possible, I would say. So hopefully we get something out of this. I'll keep you guys posted. Last thing is a pilot shortage with American Airlines, and we've talked about pilot shortage many times in the show. And the one thing, this is a recurrent theme. This was something that was going to happen pretty much right before COVID hit. COVID basically either slowed it down, kicked the can down the road, or actually I think made it actually worse, because now we've lost, I think, a good portion of the task force that was, well, forced to do something else rather than fly. And now that they've done what they do, they may never come back. And so now we have an even bigger shortage. And in the meantime, of course, we had flight schools that were shut down, so training stopped for a lot of people or get delayed. And now we have a pipeline that we need to fill. We have more and more people that are coming back that want to fly because things are reopening. And so as a result, American Airlines is one of the first ones to feel the pinch. They have to reduce their flights by 1%. Now, 1% may not seem like a whole lot, but they've canceled 190 flights between on June 21st and 123 on June 20th, the day before. So that's right there. That's over 300 flights that were canceled just because of that. So they canceled, they said 6% of the flights due to the lack of crew the weekend of June 20th. So this is not going to get better, I don't think, quite frankly. I think it's going to be a while before we get back to normal. There's a need for pilots. And actually, interestingly, I know I'm kind of going on this, but this is a discussion that we just had today with a group of people I was talking to online. We just had this discussion because we are trying to get kids involved in aviation, because if we don't start to fill the pipeline with the kids, the end of the pipeline is going to dry up. So we need to do a better job at getting the next generation of pilots interested in becoming pilots. And quite frankly, I think it starts with model aviation. I think it starts with drones, where kids can get the passion for aviation. They can get the bug that they can take away. And basically, drones and model aircraft is the gateway drug to becoming a pilot. So I'm going to coin this phrase. I've said it many times, and I'm going to keep saying it because I believe it's true. Okay, that's all I have. I'm going to stop rambling. So we have the drone news update. We talk about trust this week. There's a new test that the FAA came out for recreational pilots that fly their drones. We have a survey from drone analysts. We have an update from DJI, and we have a few industry briefs that we talk about. So like, subscribe, leave a comment as always, and I will see you guys next week.